Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show, Curryup Startup Podcast, a podcast to spotlight world class Asian leaders, entrepreneurs, and C suite executives who provide insights and wisdom from their personal journey to inspire you. And this is your host, Priyanka Komala. And I'm so excited to bring in a special guest for us as part of our 51st episode of Curryup Startup Podcast. And to our listeners, do subscribe to us by following me, Priyanka Komala, and a Curryup Startup Podcast page on LinkedIn for your LinkedIn live notifications. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and your favorite podcast streaming platforms. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring in our special guest. Hey, Sharath, welcome to the show. And we're going to have you unmute yourself.
There you go. Hey guys, thanks for having me, Priyanka. Super excited to talk about my journey, the lessons I'm learning, and so far I learned by the experiments I do. So good to be on the show.
Thank you, Sharath. So Sharath Kuruganty is here based out of the US. He's a maker, a founder, and a community leader. He recently joined Draftbit as a product evangelist, and he has an innate passion for building products that add value to people's lives. And as he rightly mentioned, he loves to share his experiments from life. And he has an interesting, Twitter channel, which you all need to look up. And we'll have those as part of our show notes as well. So super excited to have you, Sharath. You bring in a very different flavor to the Curryup Startup Podcast show.
Oh, thank you so much. Really happy to like I said, I've been going on a lot of podcasts lately, and the reason is behind to share my story and hopefully inspire people in a way. And I want to make a point here, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So it's not rocket science, and I'm here for that.
That's the best part about having guests like you, Sharath, who make it feel that everything is doable if you have the willpower
Yep.
and the right kind of allies surrounding you. So let's get started with the role that you play, product evangelist. What does it really mean in layman terms?
So product evangelist is more of like a role where you have to play, you have to switch about two hats. One is more of like internally help the team excel in terms of product making, building the roadmap, and executing it, and letting them know what people want. Uh, when I say people, what users want, and at the same time, put another hat, go externally and spread the word, help the community, and sort of like guide them in a way if they're stuck, and lift up, and sort of all sorts of external things, community building things. So it's a balance between both worlds, and it's an exciting role. I feel I'm enjoying it a lot. So.
That's amazing. So before we venture into your role as a product evangelist at Draftbit, something that's very exciting about the portfolio of work that you do is you've shipped all these different projects, one being with Naval
Mhm.
as well as part of the angel philosophy that he's known for. And
Mhm.
you tout the fact that you don't write a line of code, but use all these different platforms to make
Right,
the vision a
right,
reality. Tell us a little bit
right.
more about the secret sauce of Sharath.
So, well, there's no secrets. It's actually an open secret. It's something I discovered like 2 years ago. It's called no code, and the movement really helped me transition from a lurker to a maker. And anybody can write, or anybody can actually build a product without writing single line of code. There are tools that are available that empower you uh, and your ideas to take from 0 to 1. And that's all I did the last 2 years. Went ahead and took an identity as a maker, and there's a subtle story behind it. And I actually read Atomic Habits. I highly recommend everyone to go check out that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. He literally sort of transformed the way I think, act, and sort of execute various things in life in general. So I formed a lot of habits and built a lot of systems around things I love. And part of that is he always stress about pick an identity if you want to become someone you you dream about, right? So I always wanted to be a maker, and me being a non-technical person and me being a product person, I don't know how to write code, and that's when I sort of discovered these tools where it'll empower you to do whatever you want. So all my projects, everything was built with no code tools, and with a lot of help from the community and close friends that I gathered over time on Twitter and personally. So grateful for that, and I feel like that's the actual secret sauce. So the only thing I'll say is you are just few settings away to make a product. So if you figure out those settings, when I say settings, how to do the app, how to build a landing page, and how to sort of do a login page and whatnot. So everything are few settings away and few tutorials away. So you just have to be open and have a learning mindset and open up to learn these new things. And once you learn them, you have these ideas and you execute them one by one.
So where do we get started? Some of our listeners are interested in
Yeah.
figuring out how to be a product evangelist. So what is one advice would you have for them?
So we're talking about two different things. So if people want to check out the no code movement, right? There are so many platforms that empowers you to learn about no code. Uh, Recently, On Deck is launching a no code fellowship, and I highly recommend people to go check out that fellowship. KP is one of my close friends. He's running it, and the idea is to in 10 weeks you're going to learn how to build a project. You're going to launch it and potentially scale it afterwards. So the whole idea is people will guide you, they help you, sort of you can work with, collaborate with other makers, and I'm part of the fellowship, so I'll be there. And and there are so many other things, like MakerPad is one of the platform where you can find about no code tools. Newcode.co by Joe Brown, that's another place where you can find about all these no code tools, tutorials, interesting ways to make ideas reality. So in coming to product evangelist, I feel start building your portfolio, and try to become a maker. And I feel once you have that product knowledge, how how are you listening to your users' feedback, how you're sort of iterating on top of it, how you're shipping the product, you'll know end to end, and you'll also know the inside. That's like I said, right? There are two hats. One is the product hat, and one is the community leader hat. So when it comes to community leader, you have to go outside, build in public, do everything in public, ask in public, uh, fail in public, potentially win in public, and share everything in public. So in that way, you're sort of building a community for yourself. And I feel community is moat, and you once you have a solid community, you'll know how you transition the product you're making and to the user. So it's that balance you need to figure out. So again, to summarize, just go build your portfolio and build a lot of stuff just for fun. Have fun. Primary condition I put for myself is every product should deliver some value to the users in a way that will satisfy their problem, and I'll start by solving my own problem. So it's that balance you need to find out. And again, build a community, be part of it, and share the lessons, share all the wins and all the losses as well. So in a way that you'll be vulnerable enough to help someone else too. So
That's the best part about having a community, right? And as you rightly pointed
mhm,
out, when you're stuck with some challenges, again, you can turn to your community. It doesn't have to always be the failures and making all these amazing products.
mhm.
So what is
Yeah,
one
community is more.
Go ahead, Sharath.
But what I'm saying is, lately realized after 2018, end of 2018, I started my journey as a maker, a bunch of projects, went to Procter and all that. In 2019, I went went wild and did so many other projects, some won awards and all that. But 2020, I realized uh, I've not knowingly built community around the last 2 years, which is 2018, 2019, but I'm intentionally doing this year, meaning I'm taking a step forward and doing everything uh, with a thought in mind that I need to help other people and I need to provide value to others. So that is my intention. And when I say build a community, you have to have that intention back sitting back in your mind. Then things will go smoothly. When I say smoothly, it's not about the results but the process. So you'll enjoy a lot what you're doing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's when your passion meets reality, that's when good things happen. And I'm so glad you're giving back to the community as part of this process. That's very important. Now tell us your role at Draftbit as a product
Right.
evangelist. What does a typical day look like, and what exactly are the kind of amazing things that you're building there?
So like I said, right, this is my first ever startup gig in the first place. So I just recently joined, and it's my fourth week, day one of fourth week. Learning a
Congratulations.
ton as a thank you. I'm learning a ton as a startup operator. Learning like how startup really works. And so far, I just worked at a bunch of consulting jobs, at Fortune 500 companies. But this is my first ever, you know, startup gig, and I'm super excited. A day to day will look like more oftenly like talk to internally like with the team, understand the goals. Uh, Especially we call it like cycle goals, like what are we achieving in the next 2 weeks, and we keep each other accountable, help each other if we are stuck at anywhere, and primarily focus is to like uh, build something people want, right? And we discussed that a lot. And when it comes to roadmaps and like in pitch meetings and whatnot, we wanted to like deliver highest value, and that's what we're trying to do at Draftbit. We really want like people to win, the makers to win, yeah, whoever like uses Draftbit. So we're completely surrounded around the mindset is more of like community first mindset, and I'm so glad that I'm part of the company. Externally, like I'm doing a lot of tour experiments here and there. I'm running a newsletter for the company, which is like a weekly newsletter where I want to like celebrate the community, what we are doing internally, and updating people like, uh, hey, this is what like they've shipped so far, all the features, all the interesting things, and again, yeah, it's both hats, juggling between a lot of things like brainstorming ideas and uh, executing them, permissionless executing. So you just like go on, execute quick, fail fast, learn from it, and move on to the next thing. So that's what I've been doing the last 3 weeks. I'm like enjoying a lot. So
That's pretty cool. So, how does it feel? The startup mindset, has it really shifted the way you work, the culture? Tell us one interesting fact.
oh my god, yeah, there's a, I don't know how to put this, but it's totally opposite what I did the last, I don't know, like 4 years. This is entirely new. And I know a little bit because I'm a maker and I take decisions on my own because I build these projects, and I prioritize things. But uh, startups are very goal driven, and that's something I'm really excited about because you can't wing it. You basically can't come on a Monday and say I'm going to wing it. No, that won't work to here. Uh, so it's more goal driven, and you have to be on top of everything, and you're empowered to do anything you want as long as you're creating value to the company and to the community. So those are some things which I never felt before. It's more of like I used to be in this box, and right now I feel like I'm free to do the things I really love to do. So when it comes to community building, again, so super empowering. And I wrote a thread on Twitter like I think a week ago. You basically one of the things that sort of like a biggest lesson for me is to don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. That means take action. So be action biased. So and your colleagues, everyone is a rock star here, and everyone's sort of goes in their own speed, and your job is to like go in your own speed, and you have to match up with them, hopefully help them, and seek help from them as well at the same time, and sort of like work as a team. So it's a team game. Everything is, it's no more a solo game, like how a maker life is all about. Like you build a product for on yourself, and uh, you know how to take decisions, and you sort of like learn from it. But when it comes to a startup, it's a team game, and I love working, in a team culture like this. So super excited and learning a lot of interesting things. But yeah, those are some of the things I learned so far. So
That's impressive. And teamwork is the fundamental fabric of a startup, right? You all
yep,
go up together or you sink together. So there's nothing in
exactly. Yeah,
between.
we keep each other accountable. We keep each other like challenging each other. How far can we go? And we sort of like be open-minded, and we are teachers among ourselves. We are students among ourselves. So if someone is a student, then someone else will be a teacher, and so on, back and forth. So I feel uh, I'm really it's an actually a privilege. I feel like you earn when you work at a startup. So
That's awesome. And we wish you all the very best with your endeavors at
thank you.
Draftbit and to your team too. So let's talk a little bit about your other pet peeve that you're working on. Shout out. Tell us a little bit more about what the Twitter social love is all about.
Yeah. So shoutout is this idea that came out of like from a conversation. To be honest with you, with my friend KP, we were like just talking about a tweet he tweeted about, giving a shout out to me and a couple of friends. And I usually I feel like none of us, on Twitter, people who are listening, don't do this, but at least I feel like I never save these shout out tweets anywhere, like even bookmark them. Sometimes I do, but I usually never keep them a log of them. So that's when I realized, what, this would be a cool experiment, or a simple product where if you allow people to like share the tweets someone else talks about, like the good things people say about you, it sort of feels like a good thing to do. So that's why the basic idea is to like actually gather all the good things people say about you. That's it. There is no, no more than that. But eventually it evolved, as I thought through myself, there should be a loop that should close. And that's when literally Shoutout is born. And I quickly spinned up a landing page and like launched it. It got a good traction on the wait list. Almost like more than 350 people are right now waiting
Awesome.
on, on the wait list. And the idea is to, again, to put it simply, gather all the social love you get, and you save it under one place. And I honestly believe that there are there are there is 100% chance that people people who give a lot of value will become personal brand in the future. So let's take Jack Butcher as an example. And when he started Visualize Value, he was giving a ton of value, like in the first place. He's doing an incredible job, like by providing his specific knowledge and be useful to others. And he's like a bigger brand right now. And for people like the old Jacks, like who are in the making, they need social credibility. And I'm sure that, I don't know, like I'm assuming that Jack never saves all the shout outs on Twitter, but I feel like that's a possibility there. And you actually build a social credibility. You take the leverage that you get from social proof. So social proof is really key here, and that's the whole idea. And I'm excited to like I actually built a V1. I'm looking for a technical co-founder to scale things up.
That's awesome. Before we talk more about your co-founder, I wanted to acknowledge we have a handful of listeners tuning in. And I want to say to our listeners, we have something special from Sharath. So first, please drop a hello and which country are you tuning from. So leave a comment on that. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot it out as we go live. One lucky winner is going to get an exclusive one-on-one free mentoring session with Sharath himself. So it's something that needs to be grabbed because Sharath is such an exclusive, influencer who has a lot of interesting thoughts, and it's always nice to connect with our guests. So we're giving this exclusive one-on-one. Thank you so much, Sharath, for being kind and generous with your time as well.
No worries. Yeah, always like happy to help anybody.
Thank you. So we do have a question from one of our listeners. It's Rubinia. She's from She's currently a PhD student majoring in computer science. And she has a question about what makes a great portfolio of work. Do you have any thoughts? And she's from Denton, Texas.
Hello. Actually, fun fact, I did my master's in Texas. I went to Houston. So I love Texas. But yeah, a great portfolio, in my opinion, is more of like a product which delivers value to the user. So, and if you do a number of products which is actually benefiting users and giving them value, that's your great profile portfolio. And well, I mean, details wise, like, it should be elegant enough, it should be functional enough, it should solve a problem, and it should sort of like, benefit your own problem as well as the people who are going to use your product. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And going back to Shoutout, I know you're looking for a technical co-founder. How is the search coming along? And tell us one challenge that you're facing being in the startup mode.
Oh my, actually, it's funny enough that you asked that question. I sort of like put a bad signal last week about like, hey, I'm looking for a technical co-founder, and I was actually overwhelmed with so many DMs in my Twitter, and I'm so grateful for that. And people are showing uh, genuine interest in the idea, and working with me and collaborating with me, and so I'm super grateful for that. It's a bit of a challenge when you talk to multiple people, because uh, accountability is one challenge, right? Like, getting excited about an idea is basically something that comes naturally, but keeping that excitement consistently for a longer period of time is what I'm looking for. Uh, so that is something like that accountability of the consistency of like, keeping things alive is something I'm looking for. And I feel like it's a journey, and I'm not saying that you won't find that in meeting one, obviously, right? So that's what I'm looking into in a technical co-founder, and I'm grateful enough to have like 5 people who I met last week, and we're sort of like going into phase two of sort of like, working with each other, like how it feels, right, in the first place. Sort of like a, I don't know, like a trial run, a test run. Yeah, but it's exciting.
That's pretty awesome. And I hope you find your technical co-founder soon enough. So Shoutout scales to the level that you are
Thank you.
envisioning it to be.
Thank you so much.
So what's next for Sharath outside of Shoutout?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky question. I don't know how to answer that. uh, Maybe Twitter, like, I am always active on Twitter and like share my lessons and everything. Those are primarily the three things I do. Right now, I'm focusing more on Draftbit. How can I make Draftbit better in many areas, and sort of lean next towards like Sharded. How can I ship it? How can I make things quicker for the users to actually use the platform, and hopefully like provide them value. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to do. Those are my two primary things as of now. Fully focusing on Draftbit and Shoutout. And
That's
I think, yeah, if you ask me that, like, maybe I forgot to mention, I do write a weekly newsletter called Product Device, and it's a newsletter where I talk all about product. Since I'm very product centric uh, guy, I feel like I want to whatever I find like interesting in that space, I share it weekly. So it runs every Monday. I just shipped today 18th edition. Like, if you want to go check it out, go check out like productdevice.email. It's all there.
that's
So those are
awesome.
three things I do.
That's pretty cool. So as part of the atomic habits that you mentioned have really influenced your life, what is one
Mhm.
healthy lifestyle habit that you've incorporated that you can share with our listeners?
Uh, a, a lot. I mean, I do a lot of meditation. You know, to make sure like I do at least like once in 2 days, or definitely once in 3 days. Uh, Experimented with a lot of things like guided meditation to silent meditation to just like sitting there not doing anything, and like and Naval actually talks volumes about this. I'm just like a follower there, but uh, that's meditation is one thing, and the uh, other habit I incorporated like I think 4 months ago is 5-minute manifestation. The first thing in the morning, after my workout, after my meditation, everything, I just spend like 5 minutes manifesting what I really want in life in general. So that sort of like clears up my intention where I'm heading, and helps me visualize things, and those things will convert into actions, micro actions, and micro actions takes you to gather a lot of personal wins, moral victories, and these moral victories sort of boost confidence in you, which I'll sort of channelize into other things. So manifestation is one of the things I do every day.
That's pretty cool. It's always interesting to see how you, with the right amount of focus and
Mhm.
having these small manifestations as part of your daily routine, makes a huge
Right.
amount of difference, right? Our perspective,
Yeah.
our outlook towards life changes a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I feel it sits, somewhere back in your mind, and you do these, uh, involuntary things, involuntary actions, which you're basically guided by universe in a way, and in those things will help you get what you want. And it won't come overnight, but it'll come over time. So you just have to like be very patient about it, and do a lot of micro actions and gather more victories.
That's pretty cool. And to our listeners, start thinking about a micro action that you can implement this week. Those are small wins, but they go a long way in terms of keeping us focused and having more perspective towards wherever your end journey is going to take you. And to our listeners, again, I
Agree.
wanted to remind uh, here's your chance to grab a free mentoring session with Sharath. So do drop a question if you have one, or you can follow up with a comment after the end of the show as well. All right, Sharath, we have a fun rapid fire round for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes. Good.
How does it feel like being in the startup mode, right? When somebody's going to ask you questions and put you in a hot seat? That's not a question, by the way.
Well, it'll sort of like test my spontaneous, sorry,
Spontaneity.
spontaneous answer. Yeah. So
Cool. All right. So let's try to keep it as hot and happening as possible. We'll start with, you tell us the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following, and you say it in
sure.
one word. Role model.
Naval.
Have you met him? That wasn't a question, by the way.
No. No, no, no. Well, I exchanged emails and sort of like some DMs with him. I really am grateful I got the opportunity to sort of learn from him and work a little bit with him on the Angel Philosopher, one of my favorite projects I did. But yeah, he's sort of like my North Star. I wanna like envision myself to be in his shoes someday.
Awesome. And I would love to have him on my show someday. So that's my my
Yeah.
perspective towards him. How does
Right.
Sharath stay humble amidst all his success and the way his life is shaping up?
I don't attach to results, and I attach to process, and I always feel like I'm the underdog in the room. That drives me to do the things I do every day. And again, I'm very grateful for everything I have. Like gratitude is the fundamental thing. I breathe in, breathe out. Like that keeps me humble because I don't take anything for granted. Not even this podcast. I feel very grateful to be here, and if I at least like put a thought in one person's mind, and I feel like I'm blessed today. So that sort of the gratitude is something that keeps me like humble. And again, it's not about the results, it's about sort of like how I'm getting better every day and helping at least one person, uh, and making a point that he can, if he or she can do it, if I can do it. So
That's pretty awesome. And I'm so glad we have leaders like you who are willing to always engage and inspire the community. That always helps somebody who's still going through that challenge, right? Something that we
Right.
faced might still be a huge challenge for
Totally.
somebody else. All right. So, what does happiness mean to Sharath?
That's a tricky question. Happiness is internal. Like I'm just quoting Nawal here. Something that's always there. It's inside, and you just have to find out within yourself. So, yep, it's internal. So,
It's always inspiring how Nawal comes up with this philosophical aspects of life. And yeah, I enjoy getting to read his nuggets as well.
no, those are some of the things which I keep personally to my heart. I feel like I'm not a fan, but I'm a follower. Sort of like I make sure I implement uh, some of his teachings, which applies to me in my day-to-day life, and obviously happiness is one of them. And, but yeah, you just have to like look internal, and again, gratitude is something that sorts of opens the door for happiness.
That's amazing. So, one fun thing about Sharath, which the world hasn't known, and you're going to share it exclusively with our podcast listeners, what would that be?
Well, I'm a sneakerhead, and I love sneakers. So I've started like when I came to the US and sort of fell in love with them. Sort of like collecting some of the sneakers, not everything, but yeah, that's something I think most of the people who know me doesn't know about that.
So, that's like the standard personality for your startup mode as well.
Well, it brings a lot of character, so why not?
That's awesome. One last question. What is your native language and one word to describe Sharath in his native language?
Oh wow. Telugu is my native language, and I don't know how to. Uh,
How does your family describe you? Maybe I'm giving you a hint.
uh, I'm kind. That's what they say. Like, I'm kind-hearted person. I don't know how to translate it to in Telugu, but let's leave it there. I'm kind. That's it. And I'm
That's
kind, patient, and perseverant. So you can put it that way.
that's a very nice way to sum up our podcast episode as well with Sharath. Somebody who's kind and generous in terms of engaging with the community and giving back. That's one of the key takeaways that I've learned. The other aspect, Sharath, is having these atomic habits, as you mentioned, where you sit down and introspect what is that you want to do and how that helps to get closer to the goal. That's another important aspect. And the third and the most interesting aspect is coding without writing a line of code, because most of them have this perception that you have to be like behind your laptops, glued to your screens, and writing all these different pieces of code. But
Right.
puzzling something together without code is also possible as a maker.
Yeah, Draftbit is a no-code tool, as a matter of fact, right? You can actually build mobile apps using Draftbit without writing a single line of code. So there are like so many other tools like Bubble and Webflow. Those are all that are available. You just have to prepare your mind and yourself. Like, what is the idea I'm going to pursue, and how much time and effort I want to put it in this idea, and be open to learn and be open to fail. If you're prepared to that, I think tools are secondary. Your mindset, the way you think about how do you take from an idea of 0 to 1 is all about. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. So tell us about your experience being on Curryup Startup Podcast, and why should one continue listening to this episode?
Yeah, I feel like, like I said in the beginning and in the middle of the call, I feel very grateful to be on the podcast, and hopefully like help at least one person to get an answer for question they have. And I feel like you're really asking relevant questions, which is something like a lot of people won't do. And I feel like those relevant questions are bring relevant answers, and when you give relevant answers, people solve for themselves. So when they hear the questions and answers, I feel like they'll find a solution out of it. So that's something I like about Curryup podcast, and you're a wonderful host, obviously, and I highly recommend people to like subscribe in all possible podcast platforms, like in YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Sharath, for such kind words. And we love to have, amazing people like you who can inspire our community as well as help them understand there are various paths you can take as part of being in the field of technology. So that's always an eye opener for a lot of us. Speaking of which, so we do have one lucky listener who's going to get an exclusive one-on-one mentoring session with you, Sharath, and that's going to be Rubinia Bodge. So Rubinia, if you're still tuning in and hearing us, I'm going to connect you with Sharath. So congratulations, and Sharath, we hope this mentoring session with Rubinia is going to be exciting, and she gets to learn more about how to position herself once she graduates.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm happy to like talk. Hopefully like help her in any way possible, for sure.
Awesome. That sounds good. So let's just do a quick congratulations for Rubinia. She says, yay. All right. Thanks, Rubinia, for still continuing to tune in. So there she goes. She's happy and excited. All right. So Rubinia, I'll connect you with Sharath, and then you guys can take it from there. So congrats again. And that's the best part about, speaking with my guests and connecting them to my listeners. So it feels like a real show where you have real conversations and, real help as part of this process. So thank you so much, Sharath. Any parting thoughts to our listeners before we wrap up the show?
No, I feel like be yourself, be authentic, and take action. Don't choose excuses, and it'll be in good shape. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And on that note, thanks so much, Sharath, and we really appreciate all the insightful advice that you've shared. And to our listeners, continue subscribing to Curryup Startup Podcast. As you guys know, we aced 51st episode today, and we are super excited to continue to inspire you all. And thank you, Rubinia, again for your support on this podcast too. And we hope you'll continue to subscribe to us by following me, Priyanka Komala, or our Curryup Startup Podcast page for our LinkedIn Live notifications. You can also connect with us on YouTube, and you get reminder notifications automatically once you subscribe to us there. And your favorite podcast streaming platforms. So there are multiple ways to consume our content on the go. Until another interesting episode with another fabulous guest, this is your host, Priyanka Komala, signing off from Curryup Startup Podcast, a podcast to spotlight world-class Asian entrepreneurs, leaders, C-suite executives who provide insights from the personal journey to inspire you.